Did we find him?
Yeah, hold on. Let me get my sound together. Okay, say something.
Okay. Did we find him?
Perfect. So yes, he's headed in. I think it was a time confusion, because we 2 different time zones. It's okay though.
Is he Eastern Standard, right?
Yeah, but we talked about, and we've been doing different times, so we'll just need to. It'll be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
But he said he's jumping in. Oh, so that's kind of cool how our picture is showing. I'm checking it out on my laptop for the actual events, which is cool.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah. When you look in your invite section, are you able to see everybody? Can you search someone?
Oh, so we see he's watching.
Do you see somebody watching?
I see Rossano.
Okay, there we go. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. How are you, ladies?
Well,
Happy Sunday, man of God.
Welcome, Facebook. Sorry, I was just enjoying date night with my baby.
Hey.
We got a little carried away.
Well, thanks for joining us.
For the reminder, yes, I am here. How are you all?
Good. Is it possible if you could turn your volume up a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
I mean, we can hear you. You're still just kind of faint.
Faint?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a second. I may have to switch. Okay, y'all talk and let me fix this so that way I'm not holding up the process.
No worries. So we're going to go ahead and
let's go ahead and
introduce.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, I'm going to do that. And you got the outro. So yes, welcome everybody. This is the kickoff. This is pre-Super Bowl celebration and kickoff to our In Love with Love podcast. You, of course, have conversations with Anja and Nicole. And this series is going to be like so fire. So you do not want to miss any of our guest speakers. We're so blessed and honored to have Chef Rossano, who's our first of the series speaker for our What Men Want. All month of February, we're going to find out what men want, what is on the heart of God and men concerning relationships, right? So there's so many accolades that I could read down for my brother, Chef Rossano. He's originally a native of New York, just a man of God, prophet, prophetic, flowing, has a wonderful, beautiful wife. Shout out to Regina. But yeah, at the end of the day, we just thank God that he is, just willing to share and be transparent. That's one thing that really attracted me to him as my brother, is when he began to just share his story with such honesty and vulnerability, because, our stories really are God's stories at the end of the day. Yeah. So we don't have anything that is off limits.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So welcome.
Can y'all hear me better now? Is it better?
I don't know if it's because the phone is so far, and it's not really far from you, but it just sounds like
sounds a little faint, but I know you just pronunciate.
Got it. Okay, I can do that.
All right. Yes. So yeah, like I said, we have you on. We're gonna kind of bounce back and forth and ask questions. Anja has some really good questions, I'm sure. I know I like to just flow. They'll come as you talk. But
you're gonna move your hand.
Take us through I guess the journey when you were single, and I know you and I talked offset, and we were talking about that first. It all started with the first prayer that you discussed with the Lord about being ready for love.
Yes. So very interesting in 2020, I was telling Nicole that in 2020, I remember everybody was excited about something, right? They were excited about writing the book or writing the music or doing just more than what they've done before, especially if it was bare minimum. But I remember that I did not want to be a part of the status quo. So I was like, God, I believe I'm ready for love. Like that song that India Arie says, right? I think I'm ready. And I said also, I prefaced it with, I'm going to be easy to love, right? Which is very different. And I don't mean easy as in I was hard. I meant I was going to make the process easy. Do whatever I needed to do to ensure that God got the glory over even my looking, whatever that was. So in 2020, my now wife, who was my friend, she had an event, which we're actually duplicating that. Well, not duplicating, but we're doing the event live in person March 24th. Of course, called the Prophets Pour Out. But before, when she did it by herself, it was called the Pour Out. So basically, I told her, I said, look, I do full ministry, full fivefold ministry, whatever you need, I got you. Just let me know in what capacity, what area, right? So after she had the event and I went, I participated, I prayed, I helped her in a lot of auxiliaries. I remember telling God that I was going to be open to love and easy to love. So ironically, on Valentine's Day, I had gotten an invitation by another young lady in church who was like an auntie. She said, hey, I won some tickets off the radio. It's a jazz night at the Fabulous Fox. I had never been there before. She said, would you like to come? And I said, well, I don't really do Valentine's Day. I actually can't stand Valentine's Day because my thing is this. If I got to wait for someone to feed me, clothe me, take me out, then I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be broke down. Because, people out here don't really care like that, right? All women's a dime a dozen. And then I'm a man. How many women are genuinely taking men out? They're not really, right?
Hold on one second, Chef Rossano. Like, I'm what you're saying is so good.
Yes.
And I have no idea why it sounds like like your is getting more faint. Is it just me?
I was gonna ask you, can you like slide out of your, you know what I mean? Like slide out of this view, like back out of it and come back, because that's how my sound got fixed for hearing.
Got you. Okay, let me do that.
You was called for.
Okay, we heard that.
You heard that?
Yeah.
That's better.
You heard that. Okay, so what
Much
about
better
now?
That's
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so long story short, I told God, hey, I'm going to be ready for love. I'm going to be easy for love. My wife, she calls me, right? She was my friend, not even a fiance. She calls me literally on Valentine's Day. I had parked 10 blocks away. I was running late because I had worked, right? Valentine's Day is a very big day for me as a chef. And even though I'm not into the whole lovebird thing, because I think for me, when I realized that Valentine's Day was a pagan holiday, I say, we put a lot of demand and pressure on people to be all things when they're really not. And especially too, that day comes and goes. And it's like, I'm going to get all I can get from you just to say I have a Valentine's Day or vice versa. So I never really liked that feeling.
Yeah.
And I've been confronted with that before. Women would come up and say, hey, would you be my Valentine's Day or vice versa, just to say we had somebody. But we weren't really connecting, or it wasn't a relationship, So when she called and she asked, why did I look so good? And somebody had invited me. Now, mind you, the young lady actually heard her win the tickets on the radio months before. So it was Ken Ford, Stokely, and like somebody else. I was like, yeah, that's a good day. And I just went out because I had never been to the Fox. It wasn't even about the young lady, like I said, like an auntie, platonic, straight friend. And she said, I actually won tickets for the whole week. And she did all the ratchet events. So this was the classy event. She said, Rossano, you're classy. I want to take you because I know you're safe, right? And you're not going to be up on me or trying to romance. It's Valentine's Day. So Regina, that's my wife's name, she calls FaceTime. And it was the first time she did it. I'm huffing and puffing. And she's like, why do you look so good? And I'm like, what do you mean? This is how I look when I go out. I didn't realize that she had never seen me dressed. She always saw me in like jeans or a tracksuit. Because I would run up to the church, volunteer. I wasn't a member of her church, and she was working, but she never saw me dress. And I really kind of got out of wearing suits and being dressy or dressed up for church. So moving the story forward, she says to me that she says, "So how did you like it?" She tried to hook me up with her friend Dina, and I said, your friend was cool, but she was a little bit too quiet for me. And then she said to me at the same breath, she said, "Well, I know somebody who likes you, but I don't know if you like them." And I did a hard pause. And when I paused, it's like God brought back to my remembrance what I said. I said I think I was ready for love and I was gonna be open. I hadn't even looked at Regina in that way, but the simple fact that someone was actually attracted to me for once, and when I say for once, it was like genuine. People get attracted to you for the wrong reasons. So me, I'm 6'2". I wear a size 13 shoe. A lot of times people are not interested in what drives me. They're interested in what I'm driving. Does that make sense?
Yes. That's
Absolutely.
powerful.
Yeah, so it felt like she saw me for me and was interested in me, not what I looked like, not how bright my smile was, not how much money I was making. It was all about, hey, I want to get to know you. And that's very big for a guy because we don't get that. Most of the time, it's the man pursuing the woman. And, some women might say, well, hey, that's a little forward. I don't ask no guys out. But I'm going to tell you, because I have been rejected so much and so often, I wasn't going to ask. So the fact that there was something there that I didn't see at first, when I took the hard pause, I said, God, I don't want to offend her or waste away an opportunity
Can we
that
pause
is,
right there?
yes.
Like
I
that's
was just
very
going to say, yeah, I was,
unconventional. And
uh-huh,
so just
yeah,
pausing for people to think about that, because I know traditionally, the church says, and I'm not saying that we want to pursue a man, but like you said, to kind of throw it out there, see where the
yeah,
interests lie, even offer someone an opportunity to go out.
right, yeah. Look at what it does. It opens doors. It opens up doors. Because I was going to say, had she had not done that, it was like the green light for me to let me know she was safe. It was okay. And it wasn't lusty. It wasn't like, yo, I saw you with some sweatpants on and I saw the print. What's up? It wasn't none of that. She really was like, I think you're handsome. And I was like, wow. Then that was another thing too. And for me, when women would lead out with, oh my gosh, you're attractive, you're this, you're that stuff is superficial to me and it's a turnoff. So when people lead out with, like I've asked people, what attracts you to me? When they start saying the aesthetic stuff, the outwardly stuff, it makes me feel real shallow. I'm like, am I that shallow that that's all you see? So I'm turned off at that point. I don't like you after that. If you say, wow, you dress nice and you smell good, done. It's over with. What Regina did is she said, I think you're handsome. She was like, don't get the big head because I don't often say that stuff. But when she said that, once again, it was like the open door. It was like she put a peephole in the door for me. She opened the door, but she put a peephole. So when I saw the people, I said to myself,
It's kind of breaking up.
yeah,
Sorry.
I said to her, I said, well, let's explore that. I said, I'm going to go to this event. I want to be focused. I said, I think it's dope that you find me attractive. I said, I think you're attractive too. And when she said that, I said, is it you? Are you the person that thinks, that likes me? And when I said that, she hollered. And that let me know, okay, there might be something here. So then my next thing was, well, let's be friends first, because people jump from one step to the next. They put the horse before the carriage. And literally within that year, we went from friends who talked maybe twice a week to friends who spoke more frequently. And I really wanted to search her mind. So I would ask her, I would say, is it okay if we go on this Friday or whatever? Most of the time, she would like, yeah, so as I say,
Is
is
it
it
frozen
okay?
for you?
Did it freeze?
It's meshing up.
It's messing up. Let me get to where there's stronger Wi-Fi. But I said to her, is it can we go out on a date? And she said to me, she said, no. So I felt like, oh, I'm only good enough to date when I'm paying, right? When it's my turn to pay. But we couldn't date just so I could explore your mind. I could find out who you are, what you like, what your fears are, those kind of things. And those are important. Those are very important because people don't take their time. They just jump and they say, you know what? I found somebody. Let's be booed up. And I was not that person. Not at all. I have
So,
boundaries.
mhm.
Yeah, I have boundaries. My boundaries are really good. And hold on one second. Let me just make sure that this Wi-Fi is strong.
Okay.
So y'all can really hear me.
Because we need to hear you.
Yes.
You
Okay,
have
is this better?
lot of good stuff to say.
Oh, it's frozen. It's frozen.
It's frozen.
There.
Is it
there
frozen?
we go.
Okay. Yeah, so I was pretty much saying, hey, I got boundaries. If you have boundaries, let me know what they are so we don't cross them. And we literally took it slow. And then I said, wait a minute. She was single. I was single. She didn't have no children. I didn't have any children. Not that that's a problem, but also my prayer was, because at that time I was 40. I said, God, I trust you, and I believe that. I said, I do not want an already made family. I said, but if I meet somebody so spectacular and they have children, at least let them be young and I'll adopt them, because I wanted to start scratch. Because I didn't want the single parent drama of, oh my gosh, this is my baby daddy and he wants his time, or, it's struggling, and I'm not going to see any children be in a space where they're not being taken care of properly. And I'm here with a good job and all my teeth and I can't do nothing. So that was my prayer in lieu of, hey, God, if you don't come through like I think you're supposed to, that's what I'm willing to do. But then I had to ask, I said, you don't want all this? I'm single. I got all my teeth. I work. I got
Can
my
I
own
take you
place.
back to a moment you shared with me?
Yes.
Off
Okay.
seeing you, because it really is, it blessed me. And I know it might probably bless some other people, but the moment that you were on the phone on Valentine's Day and you realized, Regina was like kind of feeling you, and you talked about how you had to go back to the Lord and kind of have that private conversation, like, wait a minute, Lord, I've been used to dating certain types of women, the way they looked. So really him kind of giving you a heart check. That was a very powerful dialogue that we had about that.
Yes. So I had to check myself because I did not want to have a superficial moment. Superficial moment meaning I had to stop and think, because my mind as a single person who is past their 30s, right, entering into the 40s, what are you looking for? Hey, I want a wife, eventually some children, a house. So the qualities that I was looking for was very different than what you would look for in a date. Right? I was looking for a life partner. And I kind of felt like I was auditioning life partners. So yes, when I paused, my pause was the next thing that came out my mouth. I did not want to damage her, and I didn't want to seem superficial, because some of us have this Hollywood view that we need the high yellow girl with the long hair and this body that is manufactured, right, from wherever. And women are not built like that. They do not look like that.
Can we talk about that?
Yes.
And I'm saying this because it's so profound that you are saying this right now, where just this past week or within the last couple of weeks, it's almost like my eyes have been opened to how detrimental that is, especially to our community. I mean, let's keep it real.
Yes.
To our
Absolutely.
community.
Yes.
And I've seen a couple of instances on social media, and I've known people in real life that have dealt that. They knew that this person was supposed to be their husband. God had said it already.
Wow.
But because that person didn't look like what their family and what society, even though they probably honestly looked a little similar, let's keep it real. But even though that person didn't look like what was a prize in society, they chose to not go with that person, and it actually ended up costing them their life. Yes. Not because it's just struck down. It's because God had said, this person is for you. She can cover you. Nah, I don't want that one. I want somebody else who looks like the prize to the world.
And that's why
I'm going to choose her.
I posted in our group, it was comical, but do you want the same version of Beyonce? How many men not to take anything away from her beauty. She's a beautiful woman. But is that the goal for all men? I would hope not.
Let's talk about that. Because my wife and I talk about that extensively and beforehand. So for me, I'm gonna say this is me, and I have nothing. I'm gonna do the disclaimer for Beyonce. I don't have nothing against Beyonce. She's a beautiful woman on the outside. I don't know her, but for me, Beyonce wasn't gonna work. My wife is gorgeous, inside and out. Not because we're married. When I looked at her hair texture, I said, "Oh wow, babies will be beautiful." When I looked at her lips, not being lusty or superficial, I was like, "She is bad in her own right." Now, the fact that she wasn't a size 2, I had to wait. Did I need size 2? Can a size 2 carry me? Because I'm 6'2", 276 pounds. And God was like, hell to the nah. A size 2 person can't take you where you want to go. Now, y'all may be able to lay up and do something. And I'm not talking about the size 2 people that they evil, but some of them skinny people are evil. I'm going to just say it. They evil. Some of these other people that's big, they overly confident and they shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? So you have those dynamics. So what I will say is I almost had to be prophetic and look to the future. Hey, my wife.
You were discerning. You were discerning. And that's powerful.
And it's important. Powerful. Yes. And then I remembered years ago I had ordered and got the book and read some of it, Emotions. And I remember, I don't know if TD Jake said it there, but he definitely said it, that 80-20 rule. Would you be okay with the 80-20, right? And I had to weigh that as well, because my thing is this. If you got 80% of what I need, I can come with 20. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to come with it. Let me come with the 20, because that 20 is not really a lot, but it is. So then I had to think about, okay, if I get a woman who's this bad body and she's an independent woman, is she going to be cheating on me when I got to go away or out the country? You see what I'm saying? That's something that I had to weigh. Is she
will she just honestly not be nice and not be your piece? This is another thing, because some women think that our mindset is like, I'm a good woman because I can bring a certain amount of money to the place, or because I'm not I don't know. Like, I've just noticed that a lot of women who think that they are good women are not always nice women.
And they're not honest.
They're not nice to each other either. Right. And it's not even just so much the male dynamic. Right. They're not nice.
They're not nice. They're not honest. And then the things that I brought to the table, they would act like I would be a scrub. The fact that, once again, I got all my teeth. I go to work. I love my mama. You know what I'm saying? My sisters I so respect. I don't know how many times people have told me, for those things that are valuable, they'll say, well, if you're single for so long, 3 things must be wrong with you. You're either gay, number 1. Number 2, you're either a weirdo or something's wrong with you. But I realized in me, I can say no. No is a full sentence. I could say, you know what? Just because you might make my body jump looking at you doesn't mean I have to go home with you. It got so deep and so bad that when I was single in my single apartment, I took my TV out of the bedroom. But this is before Netflix and chill. Why? Because I realized the trap of, hey, let's get more comfortable. No, the TV's in the living room. We're going to sit down in the living room that's next to the kitchen, because after I fix a plate or whatever, that's where I'm going to go. And because of the way I worked, my bedroom was for sleeping. It wasn't for sleeping or hoeing. It was for actually getting rest. So I didn't want the TV in there as a distraction or as a setup, right? Because I didn't like the fact that when I'm not perfect, but when I did slip and fall, it took me like 6 months or a year just to get back to my old self, just to get back to a place where I wasn't in condemnation or feeling like, oh my gosh, God, I don't feel worthy because I came outside of the covenant for a moment of loneliness. And that's what happened. I had to realize my trigger. Oh, when you get lonely, you make bad decisions. You make poor decisions. In fact, you kiss frogs when you're lonely. And you don't look at the princess. You just out here with anything and anybody. So I had to really do a hard self-check and say, you know what? If women can have boundaries, if they could talk about, you can't get the cookie for 90 days, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, I need to be the same way, because I can. Most men think, I hate this saying, oh, I'm a man gonna do what they gonna do. No. Listen, God cares about your soul too, and your virginity, and you holding your own.
And
So
your
I said,
purity.
God, I'm not going to keep giving myself to, like Juanita Bynum did No More Sheets years ago. That blessed me as a man. Because I said, you know what? I'm not going to be giving parts of my body all over the world. And my grandmother did me a favor. She said to me when I was a 12, she was the only one that had a real live, hard sex talk with me. She said, Rossano, she gave me this analogy. She said, I know you don't have a car and you haven't driven in too many new cars. But she said, you ever got into a new car and it had a new car smell? I said, yeah, Nana. She said, well, once you get in it and you start eating in it or you start driving it or other people get in, the car takes on their smell, their scent, or the food scent. And I said, okay, Nana, where you going with this? And she said, just shut up and listen. And I said, okay. And she said, well, if you let everybody get in and ride, right? By the time you get to your destination, and the person that God selected to be your traveling partner, guess what? They might not like that smell because it might be used and abused by that point. And if you let people borrow it and get in it, it don't have the new car smell anymore. He said, my grandmother said, don't you want to give your wife that new car smell? Don't you not want to be used up? So then she went to the spiritual. She started saying, yo, you get attached to people. And then I started reading it in the word, how soul ties and all of these things. And I was like, well, heaven forbid, I don't want that. And I don't want to be a lovesick puppy. So I had never been in love up until my spouse because I was guarding my heart so strong. I wouldn't let anybody in because I felt like I couldn't trust anybody. And I couldn't trust anybody with my heart. I couldn't even trust my own self. So what I did was, listen, 3 strikes, you was out. And you started at 100, but as soon as you started to downgrade, you was downgraded. You know what I mean? So the Beyonce analogy wasn't going to work for me because I didn't like women that look like that anyway. I'm going to just be honest. Because my thing is, can I trust you? Can you hold a good conversation? Are you an entrepreneur? What happens when I can't work? Are you just looking for me to hold it down and pay your way? You know what I'm saying? Are you in the mirror every 5 seconds? And that's a fight? Or are you spending all your money to look good? Because I had women tell me before, they said as women they don't get dressed for men, they get dressed for other women. And I'm like, I don't understand that. And they're like, yeah, we don't get dressed for men. We want the other women to check us out, and we want to create jealousy and calamity with them so that I could keep going. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. So you spending your money not even to, now you single, you look good, some had children, some didn't. But I'm like, all of what you're doing to adorn yourself, you're not even doing it for the opposite sex. You're doing it for the same sex. And these are not lesbians. These are literally straight women that want other women to see their breasts, want other women to see their butt.
Because jealousy is a spirit. That's why.
Competition thing.
Yeah.
And
jealousy
diva
and competition are spirits.
Right. And that diva spirit, I bind it and I cast it out. Because when I looked it up, it is a female devil.
Yeah.
It is a female devil. And all the things that come with it, it's not good. So when I started meeting women that had that like spirit, same spirit, different face, I was like, God, no, they're not getting my time of day. They're not getting my money. And they definitely not getting my energy. So when I went to my wife, I wasn't an easy way. I was like, are we dating? And she would say, well, why do you always ask that? And I said, because I need to know who I'm going to show up as. I need to know if you're going to get Casanova Rossano, Chef Rossano, Business Rossano. I need to know if you're going to get Casual Rossano. Because I could be Mac Daddy Essence, straight out the runway if that's what I need to be. But you got to show me that you're worth it. Yeah. You got to show me that it's worth me putting that time and energy. Because you see me for me, not, oh, well, he works every day and he got a real good job. He could spoil me. I could use him until I'm done with him and then throw him away.
That's where I was getting ready to go, because what I'm hearing so much in this conversation is a man who we always talk about do the work. Ayanla, do the work. You got to do your work.
Right.
But somebody who has done the work and knows their value. So that kind of, I noticed that a lot of women will be quick to say, oh, I've done the work and I've done this, that, and the other. But we say we want the men to do the work, but not really, because if the men did the work, sometimes you might find out that you don't measure up.
Yes.
So that means that you have to check yourself.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing is that, and I love it because I desire for more men to hear this conversation as well too, because this is not a masculinity that comes from the world, but a masculinity that comes from sonship and knowing who you are as a man of God and as a son of God.
Yes.
So that
yes,
we can't devour, like we cannot defile you either. And in this era that we have where it's like get money, and I mean it's not anything different than what's going on in the 90s. I feel like it all just repackages itself and has a different face.
Absolutely.
You know what
So
I'm saying?
you said a good thing. I want to use that word devour. I've actually told 2 people in my life that that's what was happening. And it is a devour spirit, like you said before. Because I'm going to tell you something. And I've seen this in the independent woman, the woman that's self-sufficient. She will tear you down. If you're not at a 10, if you don't make more than her, if you don't look like she look, if you can't bring to the table, if you're not active, if you don't jump, you know, when she says jump and you don't say how high, let me tell you something. I have seen strong women who are amazing in their own right, on their own businesses, be so ugly, dirty, and nasty, and of all gay age groups, because what they will do now, society says it's all right. Listen, if you get a man, you know, this song came out that Candy Barris wrote, and thank God for her, No More Scrubs. It made people lose their mind. Because now the respect level wasn't there. They're not looking for blue collar, white collar workers. You know, Hollywood has really messed people up because the everyday working male with the 401k and all their teeth and a dental plan, that's not enough anymore. They looking for the man that's the hustler that got the bag. They looking for the rapper with the 2 chains, 3 chains. You see what I'm saying? And it's thugged out with his pants hanging right below his assets. And
they're looking for the white man who has a Fortune 500 company. Like, you know, it's always going to, because we're not a monolith, it's always going to be different sectors. But I'm so grateful that you said that, because I was growing up, first of all, I'm an 80s baby, was very advanced. I mean, and I can, you know, we got, sorry,
I'm a 70s baby. I caught the tail end.
But
78, I'm proud.
No, but seriously, I mean, come on now. You're like, I feel like it's all the same. There was not too much difference. 1977 to 1985. We're all raised the same.
Go ahead. Talking.
But I'm saying this because I was driving across the country a year ago, and I was listening to Carl Thomas, his album. You remember that first album?
Submarine.
And it made me think about how I was like 13 when it came out, but it made me think about that was how I saw relationships, strife, struggle, arguments. So I had really thought in my 13-year-old mind that when it was time to get into a relationship, it was going to have to be a tussle, because that's what I saw on TV. That's what I was reading in all of them black
you said something good.
Books.
Yes. So,
you know?
I like the fact that you said, I'm going to say something, and people don't give credit where credit is due. I will tell you, I was an avid, and still am, Cosby Show and A Different World kid. And I'm going to tell you something. The Cosby Show gave me so much life. 2 things that I gleaned that I yield today. When I saw that black family that looked like me in Brooklyn, where I was born, my mother and I were in Puerto Rico on the way home. And I remember like it was yesterday. I was excited. I was like, Mom, we got to get home before the Cosby Show comes on. And they showed that first episode where it was like, I believe it was Blair Underwood, Lisa Bonet's boyfriend at the time. That was like the first episode, and they had changed the set and some other things. But I will tell you, it was a black family that was doing well. They were fictitious. They were not real. And I never saw anybody who looked like that. But in New York City, I didn't see good relationships but one. My aunt, my mother's the youngest of her 5 sisters. My dad has like 17 brothers and sisters, and nobody was married. Wow. So growing up, I did not have a good scope of, hey, this is what a healthy relationship looks like. I knew all of what not to do and what did not work. So it made me, that's what contributed to me being 40 not married. I was afraid. I was afraid, like you said, Anja, that I was going to mess it up or be in turmoil like that. My mom was in an abusive relationship. My mom and my dad did not work out. They weren't physical, but like my mother's husband, he was mentally, physically, spiritually abusive. And I was like, heaven forbid, if I got to live like this, I will be single until Jesus gets off that throne. And I meant it. I meant it. Because I was like, I have too many sisters, aunts, and cousins to say, well, when she get out of line, I'ma smack her upside her head or beat her behind. Or, when I get frustrated and I can't handle it, I'ma drink myself into a coma or smoke myself and then be angry to the world. No, I was not gonna be that type of man, right? Because society kept saying, yo, a man is gonna be a man. A man is gonna be a man so he could cheat, he could lie, he could steal, and guess what? He could end up in jail or dead. That wasn't going to be the story, because the women in my family said, we're going to be one less. We're going to teach you manners. We're going to teach you how to love a woman down to her dirty drawers. And that's what they did. I'm an investment. I'm the plot twist.
Yeah. The question, Rossano, what messages about, even if it wasn't like, oh, it came from the church or it was a churchy message, what messages did or didn't you get from your father about women in relationships?
Oh, my gosh. My dad told me at the age of 10, do not be like me.
Oh.
That was a hard pill to swallow at 10 years old. And guess what? At 10, I knew exactly what he meant, because my dad was a whore. He was whoring. He cheated on my mom, broke her heart. Till this day. Now, they're actually fighting in their 60s to get back to a place, because my parents is a very unique situation. Love at first sight. They met. My dad is a naturalized citizen. He wasn't at the time. So I thank God that he was brought to America, because I would have never been here had my grandfather had not sent for him, had paperwork drawn up for him, and then brought him here. And then he legally became a naturalized citizen at the age of 33. And then he went back to Panama at the age of 35 to meet his mother. So once again, when my dad said, don't be like me, he was messed up. He did not have good interpersonal relationships with women at all. Communication, non-existent. He was not a person to say what he meant and mean what he said, or say, you know what, I'm hurting, you hurt me, or I love you. He wasn't. So once again, when he said, don't be like me, I took that to heart, and I made sure everything that he did, that he was, I was not like. The only thing that I believe that I inherited from that part of the journey is I was like, my dad is a hard worker. He's a protector, he's a warrior, and he's faithful. So those things I gleaned from. I said, okay, I could take that because that's positive. But all that other junk, how I saw him hurt women and cheat on them, and he had a mistress, a wife, and a girlfriend, and then now I have, it's 4 of us. So I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and my youngest brother and sister, who I'm 16 years older than, they're 2 weeks and 2 months apart from each other. I didn't want that. So I said, number one, I'm not making no already made family. I'm not going to have no babies out of wedlock. I'm going to be one less. So it literally shaped my destiny. Like fear, in a good way, said no. I took hard pauses. And then with society, too scared of AIDS. So I wasn't going to sleep with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I barely take pills because I just don't swallow them. So I was like, I'm going to be an AIDS recipient. And do a 20 pill cock. I'll die from that. I'll go home and be with Jesus before I got to do that. So I said, I better either slow my roll or take heed to what the good book says and be a good little Christian. No.
Perfect point. I want to, because we had such a rich conversation. I'm telling you, I said, I got to get him on the show, because you tell our audience and tell us about when you were saying, you desire to have children, and really what the Lord was showing you as he was preparing you for your wife, Regina. He had already forecasted some prophetic things about your, and the reason why she had to have the shape she had, the extras and so really break that down.
Got you. So going back to even my hard pause, it's like God allowed me to flashback, and the promises of God are so sweet, because when you have history with God, and and this is for the believer and the unbeliever. The problem is that the believer can see it a little bit more clear, because you're constantly depending. You're constantly asking. You're constantly saying, okay, God, this is where I am. It's hard or it's simple, right? We see life as hard, but God really made it simple. He gave us all the tools we need to survive and make it work. We get in the way. Okay, so with that, in relationship, with my wife, when I thought about the promises of God, like my first real relationship was at 24, 25. It was the first time I had had sex. It was like role reversal. I was sitting on it. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting on the edge of the bed crying like the female and saying, what did I do? What did I have done? I was supposed to save this for marriage. right? I had a weak moment. We had been friends for 2 years, and then we started to date, and that sexual part came after 10 months. Ironically, the same thing. Valentine's Day rolls around, and I said, guess what? I'm going to do something nice for you, but this is going to be it if we're going to be together, because I don't like Valentine's Day. And I had to express that. So she didn't feel like, girl, he ain't buy me nothing. All I got was a teddy bear or a card or a box of chocolates. Because, you know, that's what I've seen women do. Because I got a lot of aunts and cousins. And I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this, because this is lies and trickery with a side of witchcraft, right? So in my dating, I was like, well, God, you let me get away. Because, you know, I was like a super Christian. Well, not a super Christian, but when I got saved, I was very fanatical.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know, I came out of character, especially with sex. God was going to come off the throne and then I was going to die. Like, that's what I thought. So that was another reason why I waited till I was 40. Because for me, you know, that fear of you going to hell because you know, sinning out of wedlock, but then it didn't make no sense. Because on the other side, I was big and bad enough as I wanted to be, you know what I'm saying, with no caution and throwing caution to the wind. So I couldn't understand that. But anyway, I sat on the edge of the bed. I cried. And then because I had my own apartment, you know, I wasn't this guy, but I had told her at 4 in the morning, I said, you gotta go. And she was like, what? Wait, mind you, I gave her a key to my place because she didn't have a place of her own, and she had left some things at my house. And I said, anytime, because I worked a lot, I said, anytime you need your stuff, here's the key, you can have it, but you can't live at my house. I made that clear. I do not do the shacking up thing. Now, for people that do, that's their business. But for me, I was going to keep those lines clear and understood. You got a key, but you better use it only when you know that I'm home. And when you come over, you got to go back home. And I called her a cab at 4 in the morning. She was like, you putting me out? And I said, it's not like the movies I'm putting you out. I'm putting you out because I got to sit with this thing now. And I'm an emotional wreck. And I don't want you to see that I'm about to cry like a little girl because I feel like I have offended God. I'm serious. Boohoo, waterworks, everything. Butt naked on the edge of the bed like, oh my gosh, God, I'm going to hell. And then look, and then I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. She was like, you ain't no virgin. You knew what to do. I said, no, I've watched a whole lot of porn and I took notes. And that's not your teacher. But for me, I'm a different kind of student. So I was like, I'm going to try that. I'm going to do this. And then, you know, and that was a whole nother situation, right? So we dated 10 months. And even that, I didn't want to do it regularly because I was like, yeah, even though we broke open Pandora's box, I still don't want to keep going in this box because I'm afraid. I'm afraid you might die and I'm going to die too. And I'm not ready to go home and because remember, I was a fanatic, right? So that's how my mind worked. But that healthy fear kept me from being like all the way loose. So then I had dreams. And the crazy thing is the first dream that I had was I had a dream that we had a set of twins. And all I could see was the babies and these two arms. The shade of the arms was not the shade of the girl that I was with. So that gave me turmoil because I was like, oh gosh, here we go. This ain't the one. And then I had a dream that I was proposing to her, and the ring that I had picked out, she threw it at me because she didn't like it, and it was like something I would have never bought. So I kept having these signs, and guess what? The girl was cool. I could talk to her till this day. We're friends. We didn't have any drama. It wasn't like I could, you know, it was nasty. But what I did realize is that God was like, okay, you had your fun. I allowed you the time to do what you did. Are you finished? Because I have bigger plans for you. And then in that same season, God was like, I'm moving you to Atlanta. And I didn't know nothing or nobody. I literally was in the bathroom and a tear came down my eye because on the inside, I knew in order for me to grow, I had to go. And I literally started putting my stuff in garbage bags. And I wrote this young lady a letter and I said, listen, I know we just broke up. I'm not saying I'm leaving because we broke up. We could still be friends. Let's explore later on. But I said, I got to get out of New York City. I'm leaving this apartment to my friend, and I don't know what it's going to be. I'll come back in a year, and if I like it, you know, I'll stay. If I don't, I'll still have my apartment because I have my own place. And she was pissed. She told my sister I was rude. I was nasty. My sister called me, cussing me out. I let her read the letter. She said, you didn't say nothing wrong. I said, I know she's hurt because I'm saying I'm leaving and we can't be together. And she knows I wanted to marry her, but God was like, no, that's not the one. So to answer your question, Nicole, the promises of God said, hey, I still have a promise for you that's bigger than you. And it's not where you are right now. So I need to show you a glimpse of it so that you hold to this promise and you don't, like I just said, die in a place that you were never meant to stay in.
Yes.
Right? I was in Loden Bar, if y'all have ever read that story out the bar.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stay there too long. Because, you know, I forget the prophet. I think it was Elijah when he said, when you go into that city, don't even take a glass of water. Go in, do what I told you to do, and get out.
Get out.
And get the heck on out.
Right.
Wow. Chef Rossano, I have 2 questions.
Yes. No, go ahead.
Because our time is coming up. You already know you coming back, right? You already know.
Yes.
I mean, you should already know.
I love y'all.
I have two questions for you.
Yes.
The first question is, what piece of advice from all of your experience, well, not all of your experience, but in pertaining to this, what do you have to say for the men?
I would say be intentional. Definitely pray, because prayer is what shaped listen, I get up every day earlier than anybody. And that's to hear from God for my life and for my day. It's important. I cannot live without it. My watch is probably from 1:30 to 3:30 in the morning. I literally, and now I've done it so often, my body responds. I don't care if I go to bed at 2 in the morning. For some reason, I'm just up unless I'm like extremely tired. So my advice would be, you cannot be a man that God created and you don't go to the creator for what you need. Right? I'll say that again. It's like the parable of the vase or the vessel. The vessel never says to the creation, I want to be a vase or ashtray. They don't get that opportunity. Their job is to, after they're created, is to be the ashtray or be the vase and be that vase well. So for me, I was like, wait a minute. I barely know who God is, but if I go to God, he'll tell me who I am and he'll help me to understand who I was built to be. So my advice was prayer. Prayer is your foundation. If you don't have prayer, you don't have nothing. And if you don't have prayer, you don't have wisdom, you don't have insight, you don't have knowledge, and you don't have understanding. How can you understand another human being or yourself if you don't go to the creator? The one that created us, that knows how we're wired, knows how we think, knows what we need. So it was important, and it let me know the 80-20 was okay. But I didn't even have to feel like I was missing out on the 80-20. Because when I looked really good, not with these eyes, but based upon the word and that Proverbs 31 woman, and it's not like how people think, I said, wait a minute, this woman of God, she prays. She can pray for me. She prays for herself. It's not a chore. You know, she works. She enjoys when she goes out. She's a serial entrepreneur. So that means that she's not a one-trick pony. She's not on some dead occupation. And if they fire her, heaven forbid, she's feeling like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I reinvent myself? No, baby girl got several streams of income. She can do several things. She's smart. She's a millennial. She wrote a book. She's a musician, awesome saxophonist, and the list goes on and on. And
oh my goodness, I love the sax.
So to answer your question, prayer and being intentional.
And I like the fact that you say be open. Because once we pray,
be open.
Does it have to be my way or God's way?
So I threw that list out the window because we get crazy and witchcrafty, because that's what it is. And we tell the creator, I want this and I want that. Now, a checklist is not bad, but guess what happens to checklist? That goes out the window. Because like I said, what if you meet a woman and she's got all the qualities, but she got little breasts? Do you throw her away? Do you embarrass her and tell her, I'm going to take you to go get breast enhancement? Now that works both ways, because now a woman can get a breast enhancement, but a man can't get a penis enhancement. You can, but you can't. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, how fair is that? It's not fair, because God gives you what he gives you and you got to work it. You got to work the vision. Like Habakkuk said, write the vision and make it plain and it'll come to pass. Period.
Amen. All right. My next question. What do you have to say for the ladies in looking for men, what men of God want?
I would say the same thing, really be intentional and pray. But here's the other thing. Women need to be open too, because there's a lot of good dudes out here that women will say he don't drive a BMW or S5. He got a Toyota or a Camry. and they could miss out on the best thing that they never had, right? Because there may be an entrepreneur in him that she can cultivate. So I would say, women, don't pray for your spouse. Pray that God opens your eyes, that when he is before you and laid at your feet, you recognize him. And then you know how to pray for him. Because and I've had family members that do this. Every boyfriend they had was their husband. And they was praying for him like that. And then when it fell apart, we looking at you like, well, wasn't JoJo your husband last month? And Keith? Wasn't Keith your husband 6 months ago? And then Pookie, he was a thug, but the nice guy with all his teeth, you didn't want him. But Pookie looked like, he a Twinkie away from slapping you as soon as you look cross-eyed, But they say, I love Pookie. Pookie take care of me. He get my hair and my nails done. So what I say for the women is pray. Ask Holy Spirit to show you who you are. Because when you know who you are, you won't live in deception. And when you won't live in deception, you'll be free and clear to see your promise.
Living
right?
in deception.
Because think about it. If all I care about as a woman is these 18 inches, right? Hawaiian, Malaysian, silky, or whatever you call it, and these lashes, and I'm looking for the superficial, right? You're going to keep getting the same spirit that you're seeking after, what's on the inside. Because you're not going to pray. You're going to go to the club. You're going to go to the bar. You're going to go wherever, even in church. And that spirit of, I call it the Joker spirit. It will seek you out.
Come on.
Yeah.
Because what women don't understand is, like, for men, we could smell a weak individual. We could smell a woman who's got low self-esteem. Oh, it's deep. It's impeccable. And you're dangerous if you're a person that
don't talk too much about it, though, because that's what we're going to talk about next time. No, seriously, I'm very, very serious. I need to
deep calls
what men can smell, because you got
deep calls to the deep. And so being willing to go past the surface, I think, and I'm gonna stop talking, but I can connect to what you're saying. So many of us, because we've never had it, we want to be cherished and maybe wined and dined, or you want to get flued out, you want your nails, but at the end of the day, will that sustain you for where God is? What is your destiny? And that's what we need to be able to go deeper in our design.
And that's why I'm like, that's a whole little episode right there.
It is. And it's an investment. You have to be, I'll say this for women, you have to be willing to invest. It must cost you something. So I'm a businessman. I see life as an investment. My thing is this. I don't have to invest in you to be great. But as a man, when I do, your stock goes up. When you invest in me, my stock goes up. Let me tell you something, the power that women have. And not just my wife, but I've noticed this with women in general. A woman can make a man feel like he can be the sexiest brother on the face of the planet. Listen, all she got to do is say, baby, that garbage over is sitting there waiting for you. When she say it like that, and when you going to take the garbage out? And you've been passing that garbage for 3 days. It's something about a woman who's intentional and strategic. When she encourages you, and it's a woman, every man needs a woman. I believe that. Now, for the people that's girl and girl and man, they'll beg to differ. But the way God set up the animal kingdom, the 2x2 of every species, I'm going to go with that. When you have your counterpart, right? And she encourages you to a point where you feel like you could do everything. Let me tell you, she's going to be the best kept woman ever. Because we as men, we look at it different. We're going to say, you know what? My lady, she really gets me, or she don't be nagging me, or, I love the way she encouraged me. Like, you'll see it spill over into other areas, and it's an investment. You literally make a deposit. So I say be intentional, pray, and know that you're making an investment in this man. Now, you got to pray about that investment, because you don't want to waste your time, money, energy, or whatever, your substance, in the joker, right? Who's just there to play. If you a good time girl, then the joker might be what you need for the moment until you get right. But if you're a person that says, yo, I don't have time for games, I'm going somewhere, I date with intention, I date with the fact that I know I'm supposed to be a wife, or I know I'm supposed to be a husband, you have to ask questions.
Yes.
and not questioning, but you know, you have to like ask the questions that you really want to know. Not is he gay or straight, right? Because some people, they're like, you be upfront, they might be with that. That's okay. But ask the hard questions. What do you do when you get into a situation and like you don't see your way out? How do you handle and manage anger?
That's
How you
good.
treat how you treat your mama, your auntie, you know, when they get on your nerves, if they're alive. You know what I'm saying? Like questions that help you to understand, okay, how do I pray for this brother? You know, does he go to church? Does he get therapy? Because now mental illness is a big thing. So what you should be asking is, hey, have you ever spoke to a therapist? Do you have access to one? Do you know how to get to one? You know, what's your family history like? What, you know, because I need to know about that crazy Uncle Rufus who's sitting up in the attic. You know, I need to know about that crazy auntie Kilolo that, you know, she got bodies on her and they just didn't catch her yet, you know, but that's in you too. Because my wife, she said to me, she said, I'm a little crazy. Can you handle that? I said, well, how much crazy? Like, what kind of crazy? And I looked at her, she was shocked. I said, I could deal with crazy because I'm crazy too. I can't bring my madness to your craziness, but let me know what level, where we at. Is it a 3? Is it a 7? Is it a 10?
The honesty and the communication.
Yeah. And when she said it was a 3, I said, well, that's manageable. I'm going to pray that sucker out. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get deliverance. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about it. When I see your eye twitch a little bit and you get a little, you know, your voice, in, you know, raise up, is that a trigger? Let me know. Let me know what I got to do to stay safe. Let me know what I got to do because I'm not ready to go home and be with Jesus. And I don't think you are either. So, you know, but communication. We got to communicate. We got to open up our mouth and say, what do you need from me? How can I service you? How can I be of service? That's important.
Amen.
Yes, we love Chef Rossano. We thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I hope I wasn't long-winded.
We love
I get excited.
You coming back?
So
thank you.
We are going to post in the chat the event that you talked about. It's going to be phenomenal. The Prophet
March 24th.
We'll post the flyer in our group.
Thank you so much.
You guys don't want to miss out, so you can register for that.
It is
free, correct?
Free. Yes, it is free. We are taking donations and we'll have merchandise because we want to do it again next year, bigger and better. And we want to pay our people that are not only volunteering, because most people don't do that. We believe in pouring into people. Listen, we're in the business of people. So my wife and I are like, if you come and partner with us, you're working and you are worthy of it. Even if it's just gas money that all we could give you because we're paying for it out of our own pocket. We want to give you something. So our musicians are real musicians. Most of them have albums, projects out. So, of course, we got to pay them because they're not trying to work for free. And a lot of them are flying in from somewhere else or driving in from another state. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be harp and bowl style. We're going to pray, worship. We're going to prophesy. We're going to deliver if needed.
You went on silent.
You muted yourself.
You
somehow muted yourself. I can tell.
Yeah, you're on mute. But we appreciate you. We're gonna put your flyer in our chat, and
he'll be back.
He'll be back, of course. We could find Chef Rossano in our group.
Yeah.
If you need him as well, because he is a chef and does events and things of that nature. So did you have anything else to say?
Thank you guys so much for coming. For tuning in to this episode of In Love with Love with Anja and Nicole. Please make comments. Make sure you guys put in your comments of the things that really popped out to you. Let us know what you thought. Make sure to like this stream. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Pass it on and share it on because this information is so necessary. All right, you guys have a good one. Until next time.
In love with love. Bye-bye.